Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive where we're going to help you absolutely crush it in your next contract manager interview. We're talking about that job where you're not just managing contracts, but making sure every single detail, every agreement is totally airtight.
Yeah, and this is different than just any other interview prep. The need for awesome contract managers is going through the roof, and not just in one industry either. We're talking tech, healthcare, everywhere. Everyone needs someone who knows contracts inside and out.
That's so true. In today's world, business runs on contracts. So we'll go behind the scenes, giving you a sneak peek at some real interview questions you might get. You ready to go from just an applicant to the person they have to hire?
I am. Let's do it. One question that always seems to get people is, tell me about yourself. Sounds easy enough, right? But it's your first chance to really set the stage.
I'm already interested. It's easy to fall into that trap of just running through your resume, like a list. So how do you tell me about yourself, really stand out, especially for this kind of job?
You got to connect the dots for them. Don't just list things off. Pick up the skills and passions you have that make you a contract superstar. Like if you're super organized, a master negotiator, maybe you even got out of a parking ticket once because the sign was confusing. Give them that, wow, we need this person feeling.
That's such a good point. Show, don't tell, right?
Oh.
Okay, let's get a little technical for a sec. One question we found is, what are the different types of contracts? And can you give us some examples? This feels like one where you really got to know your stuff.
You do. This is your time to prove, the difference between fixed price contracts, the cost reimbursement ones, time and materials, all of that. But just knowing the definitions isn't enough.
So don't treat it like a law school exam. Got it.
Exactly. Bring it to life a bit. Think about your own experiences ever hired a freelancer online. That's a service agreement. There's your example. Or maybe at an old job, you dealt with software licenses. When you use real-world examples, it shows you get how it all actually works, not just the textbook stuff.
Makes perfect sense. Those real examples make you stick in their mind. And speaking of things that'll make you stand out, check this question out. How do you handle it when someone breaks a contract? That's a big deal in any manager job, but especially with contracts, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. When they ask this, they're trying to see if you can stay calm under pressure and, more importantly, find solutions. So walk them through how you'd handle it, what are the steps you take, what documents do you need, how do you talk to everyone involved. But don't just stop there.
I feel like there's always more to it, right?
Right. Talk about specific ways you've handled breaches before maybe you negotiated a new timeline or even managed to save the relationship even though there was a breach. Show them you don't just react, you get ahead of it and find solutions.
Love that. It's like they say, it's not the problem, it's how you fix it, you know, especially in contract management. Okay, so we all know AI and automation are everywhere these days. And guess what? There was an interview question about that. What experience do you have with contract management software?
That's a big one these days. Mention any specific platforms you've used and really highlight what you can do with them. But even if you haven't used a particular software yet, don't worry. This is about showing you're adaptable.
Okay, so how do you spin that in a good way?
Talk about how much you love learning new tech, how quickly you pick it up. Maybe you even took some online courses or got a certification just to stay ahead of the game. Mention that.
It shows you're serious about your career, which they always like to see. And if you're serious about getting that job, that's where RoleCatcher can really help, right? It's like having a personal career coach in your corner.
Exactly. So let's say you're working on your answer to that software question, right? RoleCatcher can look at it, compare it to answers from people who got the job, and give you personalized feedback.
Wait, so it's not just general advice. It's actually looking at the specific role and maybe even the company you want to work for.
That's it. It might suggest using certain keywords more, really showcasing specific skills, even tweaking how you say things to match the company's vibe.
That is amazing. It's like getting insider tips on how to really make your answers count. Now, this next question is a good one. It really gets at what it takes to be a contract manager. Tell me about a time you had to negotiate a contract with someone who was really tough to work with. How did you deal with it?
Ooh, this one is all about showing you can navigate those tricky situations. Contract management is all about finding that middle ground, even when people are butting heads.
So it's not enough to just know the legal stuff. You got to be good with people too, right?
Exactly. When you're answering this, really walk them through your process. Like, how did you figure out what was bugging this stakeholder? Did you find some things you could both agree on? What did you actually say to build that relationship and get a contract everyone was happy with?
Sounds like a balancing act. Got to be firm but flexible too.
Right. And don't be afraid to talk about the emotional intelligence part of it. Did you have to really practice patience? Did you get creative to bridge the gap between what they wanted and what was possible? Those are really important skills in contract management.
It shows you can handle the human side of things, not just the legal jargon. Okay, this next one kind of feels similar. How do you handle it when you've got a ton of contracts going at once, all with different deadlines and stuff? Isn't that just the reality for most contract managers, though?
It really is. It's like juggling, and they want to see if you can keep all those balls in the air.
No pressure, then.
Think about how you stay organized. Maybe you're a project management software whiz, or live by your color-coded spreadsheets. Whatever works for you, paint them a picture of how you keep track of deadlines, deliverables, all that for multiple projects at once.
Oh, I am all about a color-coded spreadsheet. Organization is clutch, but you got to be ready to switch gears too, right? Like when things change unexpectedly, priorities get shuffled around, how do you show them you can roll with it?
Such a good point. This is where a good example comes in handy. Think of a time a contract needed a last-minute change, like a deadline got moved or the work itself changed.
How'd you handle it? That's what they want to know.
Exactly. Tell them what you were thinking. How'd you adjust the timeline? Did you need different resources? And how'd you communicate all that to everyone involved? Show them you can think on your feet, find solutions without everything falling apart.
That problem solving is key for a contract manager.
Yeah.
Now, before we get to our last question, I want to circle back to RoleCatcher for a sec. It's not just for prepping your answers, right? There's a whole career guidance side of it that's super helpful.
So true. The insights RoleCatcher has about being a contract manager are so valuable, especially if you're just starting out.
Like what even IS, the typical career path? What skills should I focus on? How do I get my foot in the door?
All of that. RoleCatcher will give you info on different career trajectories you could take, whether you're just starting out or want to climb the ladder. It even tells you which skills and certifications are most in demand these days, like the Certified Commercial Contracts Manager or the Certified Professional Contracts Manager. Those can really give you an edge.
It's like a roadmap for your whole career. Pretty cool. Okay, ready for this last question? I feel like this one gets to the heart of what a contract manager really is. What do you think are the most important qualities for someone to be successful in this role?
That's a fantastic one to end on. It's your chance to bring everything together and show them who you are as a contract manager.
So not just repeating what's in the job posting.
Nope. Think back to everything we talked about. That attention to detail, being an amazing communicator, knowing how to negotiate and handle disagreements, being proactive and a problem solver, and of course, really understanding contract law and how it all works.
So it's about showing them that you're not just filling a spot, you are a contract manager. It's in your blood.
Exactly. And don't forget to let your personality shine through a bit. What gets you pumped about contract management? Do you love the challenge of those super complicated deals? Do you get a kick out of making sure every contract is airtight, protecting everyone involved? Let them know.
It's like you're saying, this is me, this is what I'm about, and this is why I belong in this role.
Yes. And this is where that self-awareness we talked about, the kind you can build with RoleCatcher, really comes in handy. You know, you can actually use their platform to practice answering these big picture questions.
Hold on. So not just for the technical stuff, but I can practice talking about, like, my love for contracts.
Think of it as perfecting your contract management elevator pitch. RoleCatcher's AI can look at your answer, not just what you're saying, but how you're saying it, your tone, if you're being clear, even how excited you sound.
Wow, that's next level. Like having a career coach right there, giving you feedback, helping you sound confident even before you walk into that interview room.
Exactly, because confidence is huge, right? Knowing you've prepped like crazy, you've got your answers down, you're ready to show them the very best version of you.
And that's a wrap on Contract Manager Interview Prep. From the different types of contracts out there to handling those tough negotiations and even how AI tools like RoleCatcher can give you an edge, I'd say we really covered it all today. You ready to go get that job?
And don't forget, this is a career path with tons of room to grow. The business world is only getting more global and more complex, which means skilled contract managers are going to be more important than ever.
So go out there, rock those interviews, and negotiate yourself some amazing careers.